Hey, curious minds, welcome back to another video on Decode Dataverse Journey with Tina. Here we simplify one concept at a time. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe and watch out my previous videos on the SQL series. Today, here we are decoding something every person who are transforming their careers into data must know. The topic we are diving into is SQL Server Database Architecture. Before we jump into how it works, let's start with an interesting fact about SQL Server. Did you know you can install SQL Server 50 times in a single computer? Yes, it's right. One machine, 50 installations. So let's decode why it was designed. And it was designed by Microsoft. By the principles of the rules given by EF called the relational model. So Microsoft goal was simple: to create a powerful enterprise level relational database system that could handle multiple databases securely, supports multiple users simultaneously, and be flexible enough to for large organizations. They built SQL Server as a software that could run multiple isolated worlds, each called instances, one mush on one machine. So that way one machine could behave like a 50 servers. Understand, you people? So we'll understand more with an example. First, suppose imagine what's wrong with this? First, suppose imagine you are in an IT industry. You maintain massive amounts of data. You save data from, for suppose, Amazon, Netflix, Zomato. So such data are saved in this servers. So the customer data, the order data, the payment data, and different teams handle different environments, development, testing, and production. Now every team has to buy separate hardware, install operating system, antivirus software, and SQL Server. So every system should install this. So these are separate systems which were before Microsoft introduced the SQL Server. So it is very expensive in budget, and also we are utilizing the data, if we utilize just 80% of 100%, it's waste of time, and the hardware is perishable, so it changes we need to change hardware every 10 years. So it's more budgety, and we need to it's very complicated and inefficient. So for this reason, Microsoft thought Why not allow multiple servers in a single computer? That is how SQL Server was designed to support 50 servers. Those are called as instances on a single machine. This is why they gave a solution to this. Then later, what is an instance? We'll try to understand what is an instance now. Think of your computer as a building. So, your computer is a building. Then, each SQL server are like each SQL server instances. These are called instances. So there are like 50 in a single computer. So each SQL server instance, think as a separate apartment inside this building. So each apartment as instance has its own set of residents, right? Right? Apartment, let me write. Apartment has its residents and own keys, right? And its own interiors and its own storage, right? So similarly, there is a architecture for these instances. We'll look into that later, but this is just a example in the layman terms that these apartments do not interfere with one another. You understand what I mean? So if you have data of one company, another company, then there is no publicly visible data to each other. They are all isolated from themselves because this server is up to its own data. It is not shown to any other data to any other company. So that's the reason I have given you an example of a building and apartments. These apartments don't interfere with one another. So you could have one instance for your development work, another for testing, and another for production. All are safely isolated on the same computer. This is the reason Microsoft has a simple goal. So let's look as computer. In one computer, you can have SQL Server instances 50. So in this one instance, you can have 3,2767 databases. In that one database, you have two. One is file group you can also have like one database with 32767 file groups, and for each database you have one file group and one log transaction log file. I'll tell you what are all these later in this video. Transaction log file. For one database, it's one or more. So first, as I said you, one single computer can have 50 instances. So we will know now how do you identify these. First instance installed is called default instance, and the next or second instance installed are called named instance from 2 to 50. Like there are 49 of them, right? So they are called named instance. Default instance is like a main apartment. It does not need a name plate. You can access it by your Windows name. If you check it out, then it will appear your window name. I will show you on my screen as well. Here the name instance is like a specific apartment with a nameplate. You access it with your Windows name as well as with the name you created. It's Tina. So Windows name / Tina. This naming convention helps when multiple SQL servers coexist peacefully on one system. Understand? Next is inside instance. You can have multiple databases. I said no, it's like 3, 2, 7, 3, 6, 7. So these are your actual containers of data. It's a collection of file group and log files. Each database holds data files and transaction log file. What is a data file? Like a file group. We'll learn more into further coming up videos, but I'll just tell what is a file group here. Just a glimpse. It contains data files where data lives. It can be, the file can be named with .mdx or .ndx. And transactional log file, which tracks every change like a CCTV camera for your data. Like it acts as a CCTV. Its file extension is LDF. So here's where the architecture starts getting really interested, right? And that's we will decode in next episode. This is the wrap up for part 1. So what we learned today? We learned why SQL servers allow 50 installations, who designed it and why, and what is SQL Server instance, and difference between default instance and named instance, and also how each instance holds its own database. In the next coming up video, part 2, we will learn more deeper inside the database engine to see how SQL Server actually stores your data in pages, extent, and file groups. So don't forget to watch part 2 inside SQL Server Database Architecture, where we'll visually explore how SQL Server organizes your data from tables all the way down to the storage. If you found today's breakdown helpful, like, share, and subscribe to Decode Dataverse Journey with Tina. Until next time, keep your data adventures alive.